A couple of years ago, I made a video covering 6 horror games exclusive to the Sega DreamCast. If you haven't seen it yet, go watch that video next. It's one of my best. I feature such titles as Illbleed, Carrier, and D2, and it's disappointing that these games can't be found elsewhere. There is one game I didn't include, however, due to time constraints, not getting it to work properly, and because, technically, it's also available in the arcades. We're going to make things right though with today's video covering Sega's horror beat-em-up, Zombie Revenge. But before we begin, please punch that subscribe button, kick that like button, and fire a shot at that alarm bell to stay up to date with all of my gaming content. Also, please consider supporting me on Patreon, as even a single dollar gets you all benefits like early access and your name in the credits. All of this really helps me out and aids me in keeping the channel going. Zombie Revenge first hit arcades in 1999 and quickly made its way to the Sega Dreamcast by year's end. The game is a spin-off of another Sega horror franchise, The House of the Dead. In fact, the title was originally Blood Bullet, the House of the Dead side story. The name was changed for whatever reason. Probably because you're body slamming zombies just as much as you're putting a bullet in their skull. Players will select one of 3 characters and will punch, kick, and shoot their way through a city filled with hordes of the undead, either in single-player or 2-player co-op. Each character has their own strengths and weaknesses. Linda is very agile and can fire off critical hits quickly, but her melee attacks are weak, and she takes a lot more damage as well. Rekia can deal devastating close-quarters attacks and is sturdier than his comrades, but he moves slowly, and it takes him longer to line up a great shot with his gun. Stick is proficient in all areas, making him a perfect all-around zombie hunting agent, with his only downside being that he isn't a master in any one department. By the game's end, gamers will have thwarted a terrorist plot that turned the living into shambling corpses, uncovered secrets held by the US military, and even blast their way through the Curian Mansion, the eponymous House of the Dead, that anyone who has been in an arcade in the last 30 years will undoubtedly recognize. Though the plot is thin, like that of most arcade titles, it does have an entertaining B-movie quality that horror fans will adore, complete with absurd set pieces, cheesy villains, and voice acting so bad, it's incredible.
He said all those creatures were made by humans.
That's right. Government Top Secret Plan, UDS. Using the dead for weapons? A stupid plan. My parents were part of this. But a scientist killed them and used them for his experiments.
It doesn't quite reach the stylish highs of some later titles in the series, like the House of the Dead Overkill, but that's a-okay. Zombie Revenge is unique in that, unlike most beat-em-ups, the game mixes hand-to-hand combat and shooting very fluidly. Players begin by wielding a simple handgun, but can find other weaponry as they make their way through the campaign, including machine guns, shotguns, devastating drills, and much more. All weapons except for the handguns have limited durability and will break after about a dozen uses, but their incredible power always makes them worth picking up as a quick power-up. Handguns will never break, but do have limited ammunition. Fortunately, enemies that you slay will frequently drop ammo clips to help you stay replenished, but on harder difficulties and modes, you'll need to make every shot count, lest you be left to defend yourself with only your fists. Bullets can be spared by utilizing critical hits and charge shots. As you aim at a foe, the reticle will change from green to deep red, with a brief flash of white when fully powered up. Firing a shot when the reticle is red will deal a lot more damage than doing so in green, but should you manage to time it just when the reticle changes to white, you'll score a devastating blow that will down nearly any monster that you face. This can be risky, especially when you're surrounded by flesh eaters, but Zombie Revenge often rewards patience. Holding in the fire button will also charge up your handgun to unleash a blazing bullet that will cut through enemies with incredible force. It's perfect for taking down groups or knocking out a chunk of a boss's health bar with a single shot. Of course, there will be times you'll need to fight off the undead with nothing else but your CQC maneuvers, and Zombie Revenge has you covered. All characters have combos that they can pull off either by tapping or holding in the melee button. I've always found it pretty hilarious when a game just lets you wail on a zombie like he's a common street thug, and Zombie Revenge doesn't disappoint, providing a large degree of uppercuts, drop kicks, butt stomps, and even Dragon Ball-esque power moves. Many of the more complicated moves can be a pain to pull off, largely due to the limited amount of buttons on the DreamCast controller. Players can sprint by pressing X while moving, and unleash a crowd-clearing attack if you press the melee button while running. This is great, but too often I end up blocking instead, which is done by hitting X while stationary when I really need to run away. This could have been solved by having a button dedicated to either blocking or sprinting, but alas, compromises had to be made. There's also an escape attack that is performed by pressing the top 3 face buttons at once, which will hit all enemies nearby, but will also remove a part of your life bar. Again, this is a very handy move that you'll need to pull off quickly when you're in a desperate situation, but pressing all of these buttons at once is incredibly awkward, and if not timed right, you're definitely going to end up doing something you didn't plan to as a result. This becomes especially frustrating when you take into account that Zombie Revenge, like most arcade titles, can be absolutely brutal at times. Frequently, you'll be pelted by projectiles enemies are flinging just off screen, or fall prey to a trap that springs with little to no warning. A lot of bosses, too, have moves that will completely wreck you, unless you know to prepare for them. This is an arcade game, after all, and it's designed to devour new players, forcing you to cough up mountains of quarters just to learn enemy placement and attack patterns. A lot of gamers are going to love this aspect, and it definitely exudes that old school tough as nails gameplay that defined arcade titles in the 90s. Still, it's not impossibly hard, and with some perseverance, you'll make it to the end. Those looking for a challenge will find a decent one, but I think more casual players, too, will find enjoyment just blasting away. Zombie Revenge's campaign is shallow at best, running at just half an hour with little replay value. Many arcade titles would offer branching paths to encourage multiple playthroughs, but not so here. You do get some occasional secret rooms, and the final boss can take one of 3 forms based on a decision you make near the very beginning, but that's really it. It's fortunate that at least the DreamCast version provides a few different modes to help keep you a little more invested. In arcade mode, you have 9 lives shared between 1 or 2 players to make it to the end. Gun mode strengthens your ranged attacks, but makes ammunition more sparse. Likewise, bare knuckle mode removes your guns altogether, forcing you to take on evil with only your punches and kicks. There's a boss mode that lets you practice against the game's most intimidating foes, but only after you've already slain them once in the main game. Fighting mode lets 2 players face off against one another, but since the combat is far from fighting game levels, it's only entertaining for a round or 2. Lastly, there's original mode, which is about the same as arcade, but you can use cheats such as unlimited time, continues, and ammunition that are all unlocked through the VMU minigame. The majority of Dreamcast memory cards had a little screen on them that sometimes displayed additional information while gaming or allowed players to play minigames. For Zombie Revenge, there's a Tamagotchi-style virtual pet game where players can select one of the 3 playable characters and train them to raise their stats. Food and other items found in original mode can be given to your virtual zombie slayer, and gamers can even play a fishing and memory game in between sessions of battling the undead. It's a nice little diversion, especially for 1999, if a bit trivial. Zombie Revenge makes for a wonderful co-op experience, even if it's limited to just 2 players instead of 3 or 4. It should be noted though that only the arcade, boss, and fighting modes are available for co-op, so sadly no original mode with all cheats enabled. I think this really cripples the game from having that over-the-top party experience where 2 friends can forget about the difficulty and have fun mowing down zombies for half an hour. Sega did a great job of porting Zombie Revenge to home consoles, but the extra content can only pad out the experience so much, as the game is still light in substance. Even considering the VMU minigame, the additional modes, and the challenging difficulty, I expect most players to be finished with everything this game has to offer after about 5 or 6 hours. It may be fun to return to every once in a while to enjoy with a friend and couch co-op, but that's it. Still, if arcade beat-em-ups are your jam, Zombie Revenge can be a fun addition to your Sega Dreamcast library, but nothing more.